We have mentioned the vagus nerve a few times already, and I want to give it the dedicated attention it deserves, because the vagus nerve is extraordinary, and it is one of the most important bridges between your gut and your brain. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body. It originated in the bloodstream, wanders down through the neck, branches through the heart and lung, and extends deep into the abdominal organ, including the stomach, intestine, liver, and pancreas. The word vagus is Latin for wandering, and wander it does. The vagus nerve is the main conduct of the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch of the autonomic nervous system that counterbalances the fight or flight stress response. When the vagus nerves is functioning well, a state described as high vagal tone, your body recovers quickly from stress, inflammation is regulated, digestion is smooth, and the brain receives a steady stream of calming, informative signal from the gut. When the vagus tone is low, the opposite is true. Stress response are prolonged, inflammation is poorly regulated, digestion is disrupted, and the signal traveling from the gut to the brain are dysregulated. Here is the migraine connection. Multiple studies have found that migraine sufferers tend to have lower vagal tone than people without migraines, specifically the heart rate variability, which is one of the best measures of vagal tone, is lower, particularly in the period just before and during a migraine attack. This lower vagal tone means two things. First, the body's ability to modulate pain is reduced because the vagus nerve plays an important role in the descending pain inhibition pathway that help quiet pain signal. Second, inflammation is less well regulated, which increases vulnerability to the kind of neuroinflammation that drives migraines. And here is something genuinely exciting. Vagus nerve stimulation is now a FDA approved treatment for migraine. Devices exist, one on the neck or the ear, that deliver gentle electrical stimulation to the vagus nerves and can abort a migraine attack or reduce its severity. The fact that directly stimulating these nerves can relieve migraines tell us a great deal about the importance of this pathway. But you don't need a medical device to support vagal tone. Certain lifestyle practice, particularly those that calm the nervous system and support the gut-brain axis, are known to increase vagal tone naturally. Deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing, cold exposure, Humming and singing, meditation, yoga, and significantly maintaining a healthy gut microbiome, which produces signals that travel up the vagus nerve and support its function. The vagus nerve is one more reason why the gut and the brain are not separate systems. They are partners in a conversation that never stops. And that conversation, when it flows well, is protective. When it breaks down, vulnerability increases. The good news is that we have real evidence-based tools to restore it. And we will talk about those tools soon. Most migraine sufferers are familiar with the concept of food triggers. Perhaps you have been told to avoid red wine, aged cheese, or chocolate. Perhaps you have kept a food diary trying to identify patterns. Perhaps you have felt frustrated because the trigger seems inconsistent. Sometimes wine sets off a migraine and sometimes it doesn't. The gut-brain connection actually helps explain the inconsistency, because a food trigger doesn't operate in a vacuum. It interacts with your gut microbiome, your gut barrier, your histamine tolerance, your stress level, your hormonal state, and dozens of other variables. A glass of wine after a peaceful weekend might not trigger a migraine. The same glass during a stressful week after poor sleep with a gut that is already inflamed might. This is why identifying your food trigger requires nuance, and why targeting gut health rather than just eliminating food can sometimes be more effective in the long run. That said, let's go through the major food-related trigger and explain the gut mechanism behind each one. Tyramine. Tyramine is a compound produced when certain proteins are aged or fermented. It is found in aged cheese, cured meat, pickle, and fermented food, overwrapped fruit, and some wine and beers. Tyramine has vasodilating effect. It causes blood vessels to expand, which can trigger migraine pain. Normally, an enzyme called monoamine oxidase, or MAO, breaks tyramine down before it can accumulate. But certain people and certain medication that inhibit MOA allow tyramine to build up. The gut role here, gut bacteria can both produce and metabolize tyramine, meaning that your microbiome composition influences how much tyramine from food actually makes it into your bloodstream. Nitrates and nitrites, these are preservatives found in processed and cured meats, hot dog, bacon, deli meat, and some sausage, and they also occur naturally in certain vegetables like beets and leafy green. In the body, nitrates are converted to nitric oxide, which dilates blood vessels. As we mentioned earlier, research has found that migraine sufferers tend to have gut bacteria that are especially efficient at this conversion. Nitric oxide is released in the brain during a migraine attack and is one of the reasons some researchers consider nitrates a reliable migraine trigger for susceptible individuals. Histamine. We have touched on histamine already. Histamine-rich food include aged cheese, fermented food like sauerkraut and caffeine, alcohol, especially red wine and beer, shellfish, spinach, leftover meat. For people with histamine intolerance, often related to low DAO enzyme activities influenced by gut health, this food can reliably end headache. Glutamate, found in MSG, monosodium glutamate, and also naturally present in many food include tomato, sour sauce, mushroom, and aged cheese. Glutamate is an extraordinary neurotransmitter. In high amount, it can overstimulate neurons and lower the migraine threshold. The gut metabolizes glutamate, and certain dysbiotic states may impair this regulation. Now, gluten. This one is nuanced celiac disease. An autoimmune reaction to gluten is far common in people with migraine than in general population. And migraines are actually one of neurological manifestation of untreated celiac disease. For people with celiac, adopting a strict gluten-free diet often significantly reduce migraine frequency. But beyond celiac, there is a condition called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, where people react to gluten without the autoimmune damage seen in celiac. This condition involve intestinal permeability and systemic inflammation that can contribute to neurological symptoms including migraine. Caffeine deserves a nuanced mention. Caffeine is both a trigger and paradoxically part of many migraine medication. In small regular amount, caffeine can actually reduce migraine risk. But caffeine withdrawal, skipping your morning coffee, and reducing intake after regular use is one of the most reliable migraine triggers. The gut plays a role here too. Gut bacteria metabolize caffeine, and microbiome composition influence how quickly caffeine is processed. Alcohol, particularly red wine, is one of the most commonly reported triggers. Red wine contains a combination of tyramine, histamine, tannins, and sulfites, all of which have been implicated in migraine. It also rapidly increases intestinal permeability, and it alters microbiome composition. For many migraine sufferers, red wine in particular is simply not worth the risk, at least not during period of high vulnerability. The key takeaway from all of this is that food triggers are not random. They have mechanism, and many of those mechanisms involve the gut, the microbiomes, gut barrier integrity, enzyme activities, and the metabolic conversion of food compound. Working on gut health doesn't just improve digestion. It can change the landscape of your food trigger entirely.